I got some information about how some of the models are treated at London Fashion Week. I did some gravestones with a lot of the dead models' names on it.
Wow.
It did grab a lot of attention.
You mentioned actually that you were being bashed.
A campaign started on Facebook and they put up, "Do not support model Angel Sinclair with her fat heifers and her cripples." It's really hard to deal with online criticism. I was extremely ill, and the doctor told myself and my family, if you don't get into rehab, you will be dead in 6 months.
Hi, Angel. It's amazing to be chatting with you today. I have been following your journey for the longest, and you have been achieving amazing things with Models of Diversity. So it will be great to just kick us off with how you started this whole journey, building Models of Diversity as a modeling agency, which I know actually now is being referred to as a charity. So yeah, if you could just take us through this whole journey.
I know it can be quite confusing because people hear the name and they think, oh, modeling agency, but it's not. It's a charity. I started this charity after appearing on Got One's show, Miss Naked Beauty, in 2008. I was one of the 12 finalists. I was the oldest model there. Um, I was surrounded by people of all different shapes and sizes, abilities, disabilities. It was a real eye opener for me because being on that show enabled me to embrace my own insecurities about myself. And also, I was able to be around other models that were diverse that I weren't seeing in the public eye. So once I left the show, I spoke with a friend of mine who knew that I wanted to make a difference because the winner of that show was meant to be doing what I'm doing.
Oh.
And yes, she was meant to be campaigning for more greater diversity. But for my side, um, I wanted to do something as well because having one person doing it is not enough. So I thought of London Fashion Week was coming up in February, and I thought, right, that is the best place for me to make a stand. And I did a secret. Um, I put an ad out in Star Now, and I did a secret group on Facebook, and I had a huge response from people, other models that wanted to make a difference. And there was some people from the general public there as well. I had 100 t-shirts made. We had 50 people, and we went outside Somerset House the first time with leaflets and just screaming out, "Time for change," and the BFC at the time got wind of us being outside because when people were coming out of the shows, we were giving them leaflets and they were stopping saying, "Oh, we've just been to this show. The models look really painfully thin." And I would ask them, "Well, how many black models did you see?" "None." "How many Asian models?" "None." "How many disabled models?" "None." So we were doing like a little tick list, and they were saying, "This is really great. We will start following you." So what the BSC did, they called the police. Um, the police came and they weren't horrible to us. Basically, they told us we were crossing over the BFC's boundary and that we needed to move back, which we did. And we were able to carry on.
For those who don't know, BFC is actually British Fashion Council, so they are in charge of like anything fashion related, even London Fashion Week, for example. So yeah, it's huge.
After doing that, there was no response from the BSc at all, zero response. So I started it wasn't a charity at the time, it was just a Models of Diversity non-profit foundation. So then I went back in September, but this time I thought I better up the antics because this time I've got to get their attention. So what I did a Google search of all the models that died from drug overdose, models that had eating disorders that died. I got some information about how some of the models are treated at London Fashion Week. And what I did was I did some gravestones with a lot of the dead models' names on it. I did a leaflet as well, just saying about the history of some of these models that died.
Wow, what a statement.
When I did that, it did grab a lot of attention. There was press outside, and the Girls Aloud was coming out of the show, and Nicole Roberts came out of the show, came over to us and said, I love what you're doing. You're so right. So I said to her, do you mind having a picture with us? We got a picture with her, with with the placards of the gravestones, and that hit the press.
Oh, amazing.
I got the next day, I got email from the BSc, Caroline Russ, saying, come in and see me. So I went in, and one of the first things she said to me, we can work together, Angel. I will support you, but you are to never come outside the BFC and do this stunt again. And what it was that got to her was one of the images that we had on the placard was this model that was severely anorexic. You could see all her bones and skin, and she was really disturbed by that image. And she said, so, I mean, what I would say is from that, we built up a really good relationship. And what I would say to you about Caroline Rush, she's an amazing woman. She has done a lot to make changes around London Fashion Week. There are more models of colour on the runway, still not enough. Some of the shows you are seeing plus size models. It's hit and miss, really, because some seasons you will see plus size models, some seasons you don't see them. I mean, this year had the lowest count of plus size models, which was absolutely shocking. Disabled models, zero. And so they've gone, instead of them going forward, they've gone backwards. And what people are seeing is that they're now going back to that heroin chic that was around 15 years ago. So we need to have a conversation.
By any chance, are you still connected with BFC?
Yes, they give us scheduled shows. Yes, they've been amazing. I'm not going to sit here and slag off the BFC because I know how hard Caroline Rush works. I know her, and I know that she's doing everything in her power to make changes. For me, she's a remarkable woman. And for some people, they might not think she does enough, but I know this woman.
Yeah.
She really, really is about diversity. However, you've also got to remember it's the designers that books the models. It's the designers that makes the clothes. And it's the designers that decides what size models they're going to feature. And at London Fashion Week, they are the ones that make the decision, not Caroline Rush.
Yeah. Yeah.
But she is making changes, and I do want to see that.
Yeah.
So that was my journey. I don't come from a fashion background. I wasn't a famous model. I was an amateur model that did it after losing. I was a size 18 and I lost a load of weight and I went down to a size 10 and I got discovered by a photographer in a gym that said, "Hey, have you ever thought of modeling?" I was like, you got to be kidding me. What? Stretch marks on my belly and, but yeah, I got into it. So I wasn't no big time model. I was just doing it for fun. And then I gave up my full-time job. I was working as a refuge counsellor for Refuge. And I was running their support groups and supporting women online on the helpline. And I was doing that for 14 years. So I walked away from a really good job to doing this charity where I don't get an income. I don't get paid because we don't raise enough money for me to be able to have an income. So I'm very fortunate to have a great partner that does support me in what I'm doing. So I'm very fortunate. But like I said, I do this job for the love of it, not for the love of money.
Yeah, and I can see that passion really coming through with everything that has been achieved, because that was going to be one of my questions as well, of why it is being referred to as a charity now. But yeah, I think you've already answered that question. You mentioned before in another interview actually that you were being bashed for what you were doing, and I would love to know, is that what you have kind of covered, when you had this pushback when you were trying to do all these campaigns so far?
Yeah, I mean, I do want to talk about that because that is a very important part. Because I got to the point where I could have given up
Yeah.
or I pushed forward. I remember I did my first show in 2009, I think it was, and I did it at the Millennium Hotel. And I used disabled people. They weren't models. They were ordinary people that came from different charities that were um, supporting people with disabilities. And I picked out 10
Okay.
and I put them in the show. Now, the reason I did that is because they weren't seen. And I also, these lovely people would never have an opportunity to do a runway show. It was a big show. And after the show we ended up in OK Magazine. We got press around it. And instead of it being a celebration, there was a campaign started on Facebook with people commenting. There was a picture of one of these disabled people that was in a walker, and they put up, "Do not support model Angel Sinclair with her fat heifers and her cripples."
Oh, wow.
And there were a load of comments on there, a load. And there was one model that was very well known. I am not going to name her because she did get her karma in her personal life. But she put up that I was exploiting people with disabilities and that there is no room for fat heifers to be on the runway. And I was really upset by this. Obviously, my team at the time did comment on this thread, and it really did hurt me. I'd say that was one of the darkest times since doing Models of Diversity where I did feel to give up. And a dear friend of mine who is a known photographer by the name of Oliver Morris, he told me that it threatened them. The fact that people are making these negative comments, you need to continue. And by you giving up, just think about the people you will be letting down that have now joined MOD and really want to see changes, and the promises you made that you will do your utmost best to make these changes.
Exactly.
So I continued, but it was hard. For 2 years, I endured negativity. I endured people. In the end, I had to make my Facebook groups and my private because I was getting trolled very badly. There was one person that made up a picture of me. It was a distorted image that was really bad, and they posted it up in the group. But I had to continue. And funny enough, it stopped. In time, it stopped because I weren't going away. And I think the reason it stopped was, in fact, the more the group grew, the less attention they were getting. And the changes happened slowly. So, yeah, it was a very painful time for me because I am an emotional person. I wear my heart on my sleeves. It's really hard to deal with online criticism, and also have to keep reminding myself what I'm not doing anything wrong, and I've got the support of the BFC. I don't need anything else, and just keep going forward. So yeah, it was a difficult time.
Just pausing this episode to let you know a little secret. You're not subscribed. So if you haven't subscribed to this channel yet, please do so, as it will only just help the growth of it, and also to bring more interesting conversations like this as we continue on with more guests. So if you want to see more of this or hear more of this, whichever platform you're listening to this on or even watching on, if you're on YouTube, please press that subscribe button, press that bell to be notified again on YouTube, or click follow, whichever platform you're on. And I shall get back to you with some more episodes. Back to the podcast. The whole time you were talking about the story, literally I had goosebumps the whole time. It's just really strange when you're trying to develop something that is really positive and is actually doing something great for the fashion industry, and everyone's just bashing it and, not really motivating with that. And yeah, that can be really frustrating.
I think what's important for me to actually say as well, during that time, there wasn't a lot of, I was the only Black woman out there doing something like this. There was another group that was run by Carolyn Franklin that was championing diversity, but they were all white. And they were, there was a campaign called Say No to Size Zero, which was run by Katie Green and the politician Limbit. I don't know, forgot his first name. So they were ahead of me, but I was the first Black woman to do something like this. And that, for me as well, was a journey in itself, because I faced quite a few challenges. I
Yeah.
wouldn't say my color was the major issue, but I think in some of the meetings that I attended with my colleague James, who is white, the way they greeted James, to me, it was very different. We always came at the meetings and say, "Did you see that? Did you see they touched your fingertips to shake your hand?" But with mine, it was a full-on shake. Did you see that I'll be talking and I'll get their full attention, but with you, it was different.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was used to be difficult. But you know what? I didn't take that personal because I just thought, you know, it was the way it was during that time. Yeah, it was the way it was. And I was determined to show to them that I'm a black woman that's non-threatening. So, you know, that people can have this perception of black people to be aggressors and you know, to be threatening, you know, to come across quite aggressively. And I did the opposite. And I did the opposite with the foundation because the first thing that I wanted to change was I wanted to make a difference for people with disabilities. I started off with models with disabilities first rather than going with models of color first. I did models with disabilities, then I did models of color, then I did plus size models. So I changed it around. I didn't want it to be I wanted it to be about diversity, all aspects.
Yeah.
My first campaign I did was a campaign called We All Bleed the Same, with a black person's hand and a white person's hand holding together with blood dripping down it. It was our first
Yeah.
campaign poster that we used as well for about 3 or 4 years. That was quite effective as well because the truth of the matter is, underneath it all, we all bleed the same, don't we?
Well, I think that was quite interesting, and I think what really stuck out with this whole journey that you've explained so far is the marketing. It was really strong, and I think that was really what was key to making it what it is now. Really inspiring.
Every rejection you get, see it as a blessing and get up and go on and move forward.
Yeah.
Because we can't stay in the negativity. I'm surprised that I'm saying this to you because I don't know if you know. I mean, it's something that I think some of my followers do know. I'm a recovering alcoholic. I've been in recovery now for 19 years. I volunteer my time at a treatment centre where I support alcoholics, addicts, and people with eating disorders.
Mm.
So my charity, I think my charity was based on my own pain. It was something that I needed to do as well.
Yeah.
And it's something that I don't really talk a lot about, but in the industry, in the fashion industry, I will say this: addiction is rife.
Mm.
If it's not cocaine, it's eating disorders. Um, I've noticed that there's quite a few people that have mental health illness as well. And it's something with a lot of the people that we work with, some way or another, there's a mental health issue there. And it's important to me that I I'm able to share my journey and to support them
Yeah.
because doing this work, I have come across people that have got post traumatic stress disorder or have experienced drug addiction or have experienced that or are in the throes of a chronic eating disorder, and it wouldn't be, and it's important to me that I share my own journey. So that's one of the things that I don't really get an opportunity to really talk about that, because my life today is very different from how it was over 19 years ago. I'm not the same person. I'm lucky to be here because of the fact that I hit rock bottom. And I hit rock bottom with my alcoholism in a very, very painful way. That, I was seen by my GP. I had pancreas of the liver, and I was extremely ill. And the doctor told myself and my family, if you don't get into rehab, you will be dead in 6 months. And I looked at my kids and I knew. I did go into rehab, and I was there for over 6 weeks. And then when I left rehab, I didn't go into a halfway house because I had young children I had to look after. So I went to aftercare as an outpatient, and I did that for a year. And in between that, I joined the AA fellowship and did the 12-step program. So my recovery is very important to me. My mental health, I've got to take care of that. Even though doing this job, being a CEO, can be stressful, but I do know when to stop and take stock and step back. And,
It's very important.
one of the things I do want to say as well, it's very important that I acknowledge these three people. These three people have made my journey with Mod really happy. They have inspired me, because without them, I wouldn't have been able to carry on. And the first person is Peter Gill, who helps run the charity. He deals with all our accounts, administration. He deals with a lot of stuff. He works for, he does a full-time job, but he helped me set up the charity. The next person is Angelica Fenny, who is a director but also an ambassador for Mod. She's been on this journey with me from the beginning. She's given a lot to the charity and has been a good support for me. But the other person I want to mention is my PA Marie, who is my right-hand person. This girl knows how to calm me down. I call her the fixer. And she's just as passionate as myself. And we brainstormed together. The past 5 years since she's been here has been the best the charity has been, because her input, it's just been phenomenal. And I am grateful to have these people in my life.
Well, thank you so much for taking us on that personal journey. That must have taken a lot, really, to really just get out of that. And but yeah, as you mentioned, like, not everything is all gloomy. You have had highlights, and that was actually, you started already touching up on my next question about your highlights in your career. Can you take us a little bit more into more of that as well?
I mean, we had some wonderful opportunities. 2011 at the Tabernacle in Paddington, and that was our first, 2011, the first plus size model show we did. We were supported by Milk Management. We had Robin Lawley, who was at the time she was people knew of her, but she's not as we had her while she at the beginning of her modelling career. We had Takora Jones, who took to the runway. You know who Takora Jones is? Takora Jones was the first black model that was in Britain, no, American Top Model. She flew in from the
wow.
States to walk in our show. Robin Lawley flew in. We had Lizzie Miller that flew in. These people donated their time for free to walk in our show. It was phenomenal. It was a huge success, that show. We had a lot of celebrities attend. I mean, the models started from the size 16 upwards.
Oh, wow.
And it was the first time that the UK saw a show like that. And at the back of it, there then came Plus Size Fashion Week, started on the back of it, not from us, but another organisation did it. Then there was a magazine called Evolve that was started by Rihanna Ward, who started the first plus size magazine. So things started to change. We opened the door and people jumped on it, and they continued. So yeah, that was a good show. The Ideal Home we did for 4 years running. We did their fashion shows as well. We've had some amazing opportunities. We've worked with some amazing brands as well. We're very fortunate. Like I said, we are small. I have a small team, but we are mighty. All very passionate about mod.
Yeah, and that's what's really important, the actual passion behind that, the work that you're doing. And it's really evident with, again, with everything that you've said.
With pain comes growth. Yeah. And I feel with every challenge we face, there's a silver lining at the end. With us, we never take no for an answer.
Yeah.
In 2016, I set my sights on Rankin. Do you know who Rankin is? The photographer, the famous photographer. He did a shoot with 5 disabled models. I spotted him I first knew about Rankin in 2000. I can't remember the date. Was it 2010? He shot all the models for Mary Claire that took part in Britain Top Missing Model, and he shot Kelly Knox. 2016, I made the decision, I'm going to get this man to work with me. I badgered him from 2016. No response, no Angel, no. Till 2021, he gave in.
Oh, that's recent.
Yes. I was determined. I was on his post every picture. Rankin, I love you. I want to work with you. Rankin, give me a chance. I badgered him. All that time, in the end, we had a Zoom call and I was face to face on Zoom with my idol. He was one of the photographers I highly respected. And we did a campaign called Proud Nation. And it was all about the LGBTQIA community. The thing with me is that I don't take no for an answer. I will come back and back and back until they give in. Never take no for an answer.
It's amazing that you managed to do that. I think it's really important to literally shoot your shot the way that you did, and you managed to really get in front of the right people. So what should we expect for the next steps of Models of Diversity?
We've got some really exciting projects for next year. In February next year, we'll be doing something really special for London Fashion Week, but I can't share the details yet. But it will be on another level. So we'll be doing that. And also we've got our annual calendar that's out as well. So I'm giving that a plug because it's very diverse. It's with all the people we've worked with. Some of the people we've worked with over the past 15 years, different photographers work. So I'll send you the link of that as well. We try our hardest to support people on very limited funds. A lot of the time we do go to brands, we do go to people, photographers to help models that are not in a position to pay for portfolios or, we go to brands to donate us clothes so we are able to do pop-ups to fundraise. We are in desperate need. We're always in desperate need for funds. I mean, I've got 2 members of staff that are on salaries. However, that's come from a sponsor that has sponsored us, and so we're able to carry on. But it is hard. As I said in the beginning, that I don't get a salary, and I'm okay with that. A lot of the funding that we get is through our pop-ups, and we do sometimes post up a GoFundMe page, but we're not a charity with a lot of money, but so many charities now are underfunded. So we're not unique.
I think what's really important though is that you're still going and there's still these amazing opportunities. I can just see good things coming from what you're doing.
I believe that. And I think that, I do have faith. I do have a strong faith, and I do believe something will fall in our laps. I don't know when, but I have, as long as I have these people, they are my support around me. They won't allow me to give up either. Our biggest struggle right now is funding. I do workshops, and the workshop places cost us £200 per person. We are giving these spaces for free. We give them to people that are on low income. We give them to young offenders. We give them to people that are unemployed, that want to get into the fashion industry in whatever capacity they need. We do build confidence work as well. But it costs money. We've had models like for the likes of Jack Hares that came through our workshop, and he was on the cover of we were able to get him on the cover of Men's Health. He's walked London Fashion Week, Milan Fashion Week, New York Fashion Week through being associated with our charity. We do open doors, but it takes hard work.
It does, yeah.
How can people keep in touch then with everything that you've mentioned today?
I've really enjoyed this conversation. Thank you very much for having me. And I would like for people, they can follow us on social media. We have amazing platforms full of content. And I've really enjoyed it. Thank you for having me today.
Well, thank you so much, Angel, for this really, really amazing conversation. I am super excited for everything that is to come of Models of Diversity. And listeners, if you have enjoyed this episode, please do press that subscribe button and help the channel grow. And also follow Models of Diversity on their social media or modelsofdiversity.org. And we shall see you for the next episode. Thank you guys. Bye.